views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Ghost stories,
folklore,
psychics and mediums,
shamanism,
paranormal investigations,
haunted locations, and all that other weird shit.
You're listening to the Traveler's Moon Podcast
with the paranomad Chris Nielsen
and Kelly McCarville, Moonspinner.
Here are your hosts, Chris and Kelly.
Hello.
Hello. We had no idea who was going to start that. We both looked at each other very confused.
We really should organize this before the show starts because, yes, there was this panicked look at each other like, who's going to speak first?
Turns out it was her. So last week, her excuse for just completely zoning out was the fact that she was the one taking care of all the social media stuff. Now I'm on this end taking care of the social media stuff and still expected to be on top of shit.
That's because you're cute. Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to talk yet. She's zoning out, staring at you, buddy.
Something like that, sure. Yeah.
Well,
I just can't
somebody's got
multitask
brownie
with
points
technology. So, anywho, thanks for joining us this lovely Wednesday evening. Hopefully for any of you guys out on the East Coast getting hammered by the snow, you are staying safe and warm and tucked inside. Luckily, our Daniel has avoided that. Our guest tonight is Mr. Daniel Klaes from the Haunted Hinsdale House and Ghost Finders and all sorts of other coolness stuff. How you doing?
Doing good. Been keeping busy.
You have been a busy boy. You
Yes.
have definitely been. I've been trying to keep up with everything you've been doing, and I don't even know that I know everything you've been up to. So,
What have you been up to?
I was going to say, do you want to start there?
I have flown from coast to coast, and I haven't got COVID once. Thank God. But I was finishing up filming a project with Nick. There was like a 3 to 4 week period where I was like hanging out with Nick Groff every weekend.
I saw that.
In October. So he invited me to do Ashmore Estates with him. It was a great little, just made you feel like old times where you could do a little public event. It was half the amount of people.
Right.
Everybody had masks on. It was a great event, and it was fun to just have some little bit of norm, even though I had to eat outside at the restaurant when I met up with Chris Sutton. We couldn't go into a restaurant to eat, but we could eat on the outside of the restaurant.
Right.
And it was fun. But we went to Oregon to meet up with Clara Dandy. Clara Dandy from the Hinsdale house that lived there during the exorcism, and what the book Echoes of a Haunting was about. And we had to finish filming with her. Finish the project, the Dead Remains project that I'm working on with him, and that's hopefully going to be coming out in the new year once we get it edited and laid down. It's going to be amazing. I mean, it's going to be just such a good dive in. It's more like an exploration now, more than a paranormal investigation. You know what I mean?
Right. So is that more focused around the exorcism then that took place and just kind of the story leading up to it, or? Or can you talk about it? I guess I should have asked.
I mean, I can tell that her story's been attempted to be told many times, and it's never been told correct. And
Right.
we wanted to be able to tell her story as it happened to her family the correct way, and also turn it into an investigation, diving in deeper than we've ever dove in before. Right. And we've uncovered some things that we wanted to show her as possible reasons of why the hauntings may have happened to her and why the things that affected her family like they did in the 1970s occurred. And that will all be revealed on the show when it comes out.
So for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, I mean, first off, I guess maybe start with what is the Hinsdale House, and then maybe talk just a little bit, because we mentioned exorcism. That always piques people's ears. For anybody who doesn't know that story, do you want to share just a tiny bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, the Hinsdale house, Google it, haunted Hinsdale house, get tons of information on it. But basically, it's a location like none other. It drew me in as a paranormal investigator, and it was very active, a very active location. Things happen there all the time, and it's like the place just called to me. This is the site of a failed structural exorcism in 1974. A family that moved there in the 1970s were having, they called it demonic back then, poltergeist-like activity, doors slamming, shadow figures, things levitating, and they were also having things happening on the outside of the house, like woman in white dancing by the pond. They were seeing a man in overalls in the hills and just dissipating. They were having sounds coming from the hills, like sounds of a Jesuit chanting, and Native American ties. It dives so deep, the land that this house is on. It's amazing to me as to why it's so the way it is. Like we've been able to dive in deep and try to figure out what the answers are and try to bring healing to the land and the property in the 5 years that I've owned it. But it's just such an interesting story, and all the families that have lived there throughout time, and all the things that have happened to them, and all the evidence that has been collected and the data that's been collected, it's really great for paranormal and for people that are interested in history.
Yeah, and with all those facets, because I know Kelly's gotten a chance to ask a lot of questions. I know there's been other shows where a bunch of questions, but
actually had the chance to go there.
I have, and it's amazing.
Must be fucking nice.
We tried. We did try.
Okay, Mr. I travel around the country. I travel around the country and investigate wherever I want any night of the week.
Must be fucking nice.
Well, we had our trip planned, and we were going to come, and even with everything going on, we thought, we're not going to see anybody except maybe Dan will be safe, and no, somebody told me I'd get arrested going into the state.
I'm going to call that one, by the way. I had money on the fact we were going to bitch about 2020 at least 3 times on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to call that one.
I haven't mentioned it.
Anyways, but I've been kind of itching at the opportunity to kind of pick your brain a little bit. So with all of these different facets towards was creating the haunting at Hinsdale, is there something you notice that's more of a primary thing, more of something that might be acting like a catalyst for everything else? Or is this a bunch of different individual events just kind of all happening to merge in a single place?
No, I mean, looking at ley lines, I mean, we really dove in. I mean, there's a underwater aquifer that feeds the pond. So there's a running water going constantly right underneath the house, basically, right outside the house. And we've actually mapped it out where it goes into the hill. And, I mean, that's a facet. The ley lines, one of the ley lines in the house, they actually crisscross right where the pond is. And it actually is perpendicular with the power plant in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. These are all things that, I find interesting. I don't know that they have any Mr. Meaning that have to do with anything that's going on at the house, but
there's most definitely something to do with that pond. Definitely that spot of land.
That pond was dug there in '69. There wasn't originally a pond there, and that's when all shit hit the fan. That's when everything started happening. So my that's kind of been my theory as to why things started happening when this family moved in. Now, I have started doing research. If anybody's seen the documentary that I put out on VidiSpace called Decades, it's a 2-part series diving into families that lived there after the Dandy family and families that lived there before the Dandy family, and getting their takes on things that may have happened to them or what their thought process is. I've interviewed neighbors that have had things happening around the same property as well. So I think there's a lot bigger picture than what we're looking at, I think it's more than just that house for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Because I would say that and we've talked about this multiple times, that there's so many layers of hauntings in that area. So it's not just the house, it is the land. And if you think about the natives that were there, that were talking to me when I was outside that night, I mean, obviously they weren't just that little spot where the house is at. So yeah, I would assume the neighbors would experience some of that as well. But there's so much history, and it's funny that if you go in different directions, because even as much as you talked about it, it was interesting when you said there's where the hanging tree was. It's like to be that close to some place that people lost their lives by the hands of other people, and
right.
So one of the things I find fascinating about this is that you call it a structural exorcism. And I think a lot of times when people hear you say, oh, there was an exorcism, they assume it was on a person. But
it's immediately mental images of spinning heads, pea soup.
Exactly. But this was the house. It wasn't necessarily any individual person. Well, it wasn't a person that was taken over or even a person that was targeted. It was the house itself.
Though Laura was targeted, the daughter was targeted.
Yeah, but wasn't everybody in the family kind of? I mean,
no, Clara, things happened, but it didn't bother her as much as it bothered everybody else.
Right.
It went after the younger ones. The Laura had a lot of issues, and it seemed to go after the weaker ones in the house.
Yeah. So how'd Clara handle that going back in there? That could be intense, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, Clara to this day will say how much she loved the house and loved the property and the whole picture behind it. But it's a love-hate relationship for her because she feels like it's taken her family away because her daughter's gone, Laura's gone from suicide, and Mike is passed away in a car accident 2 years ago, and she thinks that this house came back to get her. And a lot of people say that the house this, the house that, like the house is its own entity, like it's its own being. And, she feels like, because they said that Mike's accident was from an aneurysm from an accident that he had prior. And the accident that he had happened on McMahon Road in Hinsdale, New York, in his car, So, I mean, she feels like it came back to get him in a way. Which is, not crazy, but I mean, she believes what she believes. But I mean, I hate to think that was the case. I feel like the house has lightened up a lot. I feel like we've been able to bring a lot of healing to the property, and I think it understands what our intentions are now, both inside and outside of the house. And the communication's a lot different than it was when I first got it. And I think we're on a good path with it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's...
So yeah, I guess kind of going back, I was just kind of curious on your thoughts with this. When you think of a house being a source of all this, and they refer to it as some particular, like as an entity to itself, is the house itself an entity, or is something there that's like, this is my place, this is, and I feel like most people know how I feel about the D word at this point. I don't think there's necessarily anything demonic out in the world. But what do you think was causing people to perceive that overtly negative entity of or in the house?
Well, I feel like there definitely is. There's a darker energy there for sure, and it used to come out a lot more than it comes out now. But with training and people understanding what they're getting into and not acknowledging it and kind of pushing it away, it seems like it's losing its power kind of in a way. There hasn't been any like big things that have happened since Nick, with Nick Groff when he was there. And, or at least it's been reported to me. I mean, but there's times where people are recording it and they're getting swore at through a spirit box or, and it's there. It's definitely there. So I think it could definitely be an energy that's in the house. Greg and Dana Newkirk were there with the group Haunt Me, and they actually did a YouTube series on it, which I thought was really amazing. And they really explored alternative theories, and I won't ruin the whole show if you haven't seen it, because I recommend going to see it. But they really focused on the house itself as its own energy. And I remember them doing an EVP session in the living room, and they said, I want to talk to the house. I don't want to talk to any other spirits. And then they said, house, what do you want from us? And the EVP that they got back was energy. So, wow,
that's
right?
fascinating.
Like, that's really cool. It's an interesting catch, you know, like, so what if the house is its own entity? What if the house is giving us what we want? Because it seems to be a lot of like what happens. And I've noticed errors sometimes, like teams will come in and ask for, they think they got Mary, which would have been Clara's daughter, and Mary's still alive, you know, and they're saying they're getting EVPs from Mary. Now, could there be another Mary? Sure. I mean, we don't know for sure, but it seems like when somebody goes in there with an intent for something, like people start scrying in the closet and things happen. You know, people are scared to go in Mary's room because of the portal, and things happen when they go into that room. So is the house just producing evidence for each team when they come there to get them to come back some more? Like, is it prying on us all? You know, like, what's the deal? You know, I mean, I don't really feel like it's ever done anything to me. I feel very positive when I go there. I feel very comfortable going there, you know?
So out of curiosity, when it seems like the house is very much a you get what you give kind of thing.
Yeah.
You've always been comfortable there. Has there been times where you've gone in with this preconceived notion of discomfort and something's happened, or for you, has it just always been a relaxed place?
No, I mean, there was the first time I ever went there, I was freaked out because I had no idea there was a failed structural exorcism on the house. So, I mean, I was told as I was sitting in the living room for the first time that this is that house that I'm actually sitting in right now, that this happened. And I'm like, what? You know, kind of something you want to mentally prepare for, like when you're going to a location. But I've never had the one time that really pushed me over the limit was when I started researching the house and found about the Misnick family that lived there in the 1980s. And then I felt like I had a direct communication with her at that time at the house, like where she held my hand as we went up the stairs, and I could feel her energy. I had a K2 meter in my hand and it was staying lit the whole time. And then we later captured pictures of legs on the stairs, you know, with an IR camera. And I was like just blown away. Like I just felt like, man, I just researched the Misnick family. I had this direct communication with who I felt was Flo Misnick. She gave me this amazing experience as I went up the stairs. Then even the synchronicities, the next day I posted, you know how teams, they go to a place and the next day they're posting their picture on Facebook, like, this is where I investigated last night, right? So I had this picture of the Hinsdale house up on my wall, and no sooner did I have the picture up did I get an email from this lady named Jackie, and she goes, oh, I see that you investigated at my grandma's old house. I'm like, who's your grandma? She's like, Flo Misnick. I'm like, no way. Like, really? Like, just it was like at that point I'm like, I can't let this place go, you know, like, because it was ready to be torn down.
See, and I think that's what this was waiting for, and why it was you that found it. It needed somebody who was going to embrace it for all that it is and its complexity. And there's people who I don't think would handle the complexity of a location like that as well as you do. And so, I don't know, you know, we've asked a million times, why did you buy the Hinsdale house? What drew you to it? But I don't know, I just think if you had to ask me, I'd say there's a part of it that it was supposed to be yours.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Clara said, too. She said she felt like the house was meant to be, like it was, that she knew that was going to be her house, you know, like when she first went there. And she had other opportunities. There were other houses for sale on the hill down the road. She picked that one, and then she had her experience there, you know.
Meow. Yeah,
I
sorry.
heard that too.
If my cat wanted in the room, and if you don't let her in, she just sits there and knocks at the door until you let her in. Literally, both of my cats have learned how to knock on the door. It's the most annoying thing.
I was not warned about this, by the way, either, so it was, horrible surprise.
Oh, well, hey. I guess there could be worse surprises, though.
That's true.
So, it was interesting when I came out there, because I'm one of these that I'll hear the stories of the locations of places, and almost like if it's a super hyped up story, I'm not sure whether or not to believe it. And it was kind of mix of feelings because I'd heard so many stories from you and I trust you and I believe you. And yet you hear about all these stories about places like Waverly Hills, for example, and I go in there and nothing happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when I went into Hinsdale, I kind of was like, oh, well, it'll be interesting. I'm sure there's something here, but I didn't expect it to be everything that it is. And it was so weird because, I mean, even the first floor to the second floor feels almost like it's different energy. And I remember I was fine when we were on the first floor, but we went up to the second floor. And after we came down from there, that's when I needed to go outside. And I'm like, I'm just going to step outside and take a break. That didn't work because I stepped outside and then the Native Americans started yelling at me. So, you know.
Yeah, and I kind of had an inkling that you were going to have that type of reaction.
Yeah.
I was happy, you know, and I warned you ahead of time. Like, a lot of, you know, you're probably going to start feeling it as we get closer. And you were feeling it when we were at the restaurant in Buffalo, an hour and a half away. And it was like, geez, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a cool place. We're going to get out there.
Damn right.
We just have to find time to get out there again. We'll just do it. We'll sneak into the state all like under shadow if it's still on lockdown. And
I don't think they're giving anybody tickets anyway, so I think we're good.
Well, good.
I mean, I haven't seen a cop pull me over going from state to state, so. But
I don't
then
need
again,
any more.
If you're coming from Iowa and Kelly's Mobile, you know, they just pull you over automatically.
I was going to say, I don't need any more New York tickets. That last one wasn't fun.
Well, that's what you get for driving like a lunatic.
I wasn't driving like well, okay. I was driving like the rest of the lunatics. Does that count?
She's like, what officer? These aren't cornfields? I can't go 90 miles an hour? What?
Yeah.
We're so used to like cops being very few and far between too. Like as soon as you leave city limits, it's maybe a state trooper every 20, 30 miles a road.
Oh, I know. I remember the first time I was in Iowa, they gave me a Dodge Charger for my rental car, and I was like having some good times with that.
Ah, yes. Yes. I do not drive crazy, Shay. I'm amazing. So there's a couple other buildings in your neck of the woods that you're involved with quite a bit as well. So kind of ask you about them just to let people know about them. The Wildwood Sanitarium.
Yes.
So how are you involved in that one?
As far as booking it goes, so when people or teams or anybody want to do a tour or an investigation, an overnight investigation, I help out doing that aspect of it and keeping the calendar for her. And I'll also help with like fundraising for helping getting the roof fixed and getting the building fixed up and restored. When I can and I have time, I'll help with that. I'm happy right now because despite all the restrictions and everything with COVID, you know, and the ticket vending company is not paying anybody like Ticketmaster. I was using one called Brown Paper Tickets that I've been using for 10 years, and I've been waiting since August for our money. You know, they owe us Wildwood Sanitarium. They owe the grain mills that we were doing in downtown Buffalo, the tours there, Lafayette Hotel, and I had set up so many events through them, and right now they owe like $15,000 to us, and they haven't paid us yet.
Lordy.
It sucks. Yeah, but despite all that, we had some good fundraisers there, and people coming in and doing the overnight tours. Lori was able to get the roof started, so we got the front section done, the front right section done. There was a giant hole in the roof where birds were going in. They got all the soffits fixed up, and now they are applying the new tin roof onto half of the structure, and they'll do the other half in the spring. And it's amazing accomplishment because that was a $30,000 job to get done.
Yeah.
And it's the way that roof is so many different peaks and levels and heights, and it's quite the accomplishment. And I'm excited too because we'll be able to start fixing the inside up after this now. And
right. Once it's safe from the elements.
There's this one room we call the tarp room because it just had tarps hanging from the ceiling since she's bought it with a little hole in it where the water can drip down into a bucket. And we'll actually be able to take that down and fix it up now. And, you know, it's all through paranormal. people in the paranormal field and people coming in to do tours and research and stuff, and much appreciated, you know.
That would be cool.
And for people listening who might, on some off chance, not know, can you tell us just a little bit about Wildwood Sanitarium?
Yeah. Wildwood Sanitarium was a tuberculosis hospital opened in 1903. It's a smaller, not like a typical sanitarium that you see on TV. It's a smaller one because it's a smaller community. I think there was like 11 beds there. That's it in the whole hospital. It was later turned into a holistics hospital, and then after that it was turned into apartments. And then it was in such disarray that it was going to be torn down. Lori purchased it about 3 years ago, and she came to me and said, Dan, you know, I'm really loving this place. It's calling to me. And I said, well, I'll help you with whatever I can help with. I said, let me see if I can get, you know, Nick to come and do Paranormal Lockdown here, you know, and they were looking for a small place, and they agreed to come and do the show, but they wanted me to do some research on it. We did the research that we could get, and then I also started investigating it, you know, to try to see if I could come up with anything for them prior to them getting there, you know. And I don't have many situations like this that have happened to me, but when I was upstairs on the second floor, we were in the one room that they call the doll room. I guess every place has a doll room.
Unfortunately.
It's actually weirdly a thing, and I don't care for it.
Yeah, I mean, people just drop dolls. It happens at the Hinsdale house, too. Like, I have like 5 or 6 dolls. I'm like, no, I don't want them. I only want the ones that I buy that I know aren't haunted in there, please. I don't need more people or more spirits here. But so they have a doll room there. And the cool thing is that most of the dolls were original to the location. They were in boxes in the basement, so they were there, and they're like from the 1950s and 1940s, so it's really cool. But I saw this shadow just gliding by as we were doing a geoport session in there, and I just remember it like turning and looking at me, and I saw these 2 white dots where eyes would be, and I was like just frozen. And then it started going up the stairs to the 3rd floor, and I was slowly following it and watching it. And to me, it seemed like a residual, because it was going into the room, then going out of the room, then going into the next room, and then it dissipated towards over where the kitchen area would have been on the 3rd floor. And I'm like, wow, that was an amazing, like, personal experience that I had at this location, you know. And then there was activity. You know, pop cans flying off the kitchen counter down in the 1st floor. So I felt like that was enough to go on to get them to come there. And the first day that they were filming there, and they were interviewing Lori on the porch with her daughter, Brooke. And in the bedroom right next door to where they were standing, they heard this big smash, big crash. And it was a mirror that was on the wall. And it's like one of those old mirrors that were wood carved. And they have like the little slits in them that you got to really put into the groove and slide them down, and they're locked in and they're not going to go anywhere. And this thing was lifted up off the nail and smashed onto the ground. That was a solid mirror. I remember when she put that up there, and I was like, man, they don't make these mirrors the way they used to, you know. And it wasn't, you know, just for them to get that experience the first time they were there. And so many teams have been there and had such amazing experience. Nothing like on the negative side, but they're getting positive interactions with spirits that are possible nurses, the doctors that work there, and some patients as well, which is really interesting.
It'd be super cool. I want to get in there too.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's kind of crazy. Like when I think of some of the more haunted locations in like per state in New York, I happen to think like Hinsdale and Wildwood. And so what's that like?
Statler Hotel's pretty cool too.
Yeah. So, but what's that like having just so much involvement in such like constant activity?
For me, it just, it's bringing the community together. You know what I mean? So you know where you go in areas and there's cliques and there's people that don't get along and they call paradrama. For Western New York, I don't see that at all.
We need to move to Western New York.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, I felt like a stranger in a strange world that when I started going on tours and going to other states. I mean, and I feel like very comfortable when I go to Iowa. I don't ever really see much drama except for with the psychics, but other than that, I mean,
yeah, them catty bitches.
But no, not even that. You know, Kelly takes care of all that crap. We just have a good time. But we all the guys, everybody, we have open arms for people that want to learn, and we have open arms for teams, and we want people to flourish and really hit their goals, because if we don't give people opportunity to learn and experiment, they're not going to be able to reach their goals, you know? So it's kind of how we are, like Tim Shaw, Joe at Paranormal Oddities, all the people that have been in the field in our area for so long, Scott and Deidre from Soulscape Paranormal. We all kind of just like come together and work together when we can, and we support each other. And we all get into the locations. There's never any problems like, oh, this person runs this location, you can't get in. No, that's not, you can get in this location. Here you go, Dan. You come on in. Oh, this new team from Buffalo. Here, come check it out. So and even the locations are working together. The location owners, Dunkirk Lighthouse, Rolling Hills Asylum, the Statler Hotel, Lafayette Hotel. We know a team wants to get into these locations, they can get in. So that's kind of how I wanted to help build the community together. Like all working together and not trying to hold back people or push people back, because the more people can get into these locations and the more research that we can do, the better everybody's going to be, and we'll be able to hit our goals. I mean, everybody's got to have a goal, right? Everybody's got to have a reason for what they're doing. So holding them back and suppressing them is not going to help. So there's not a location we can't get into in Buffalo, Western New York, even Niagara County,
we need more
Niagara
than a couple
Falls.
days when we go out.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. There's an amazing bed and breakfast out in Gasport, New York, which is north of Niagara Falls, called the Greystone Manor. And I would, one of the psychics that works my psychic version, you actually might have met her, Heather Reese. Do you remember her with blonde hair when you were at Statler?
No, but I met a lot of people that day.
Yeah, I think if you saw her, you'd remember her.
Probably.
But she was on the same. She was in the same corner as you. But she bought this place and has been fixing it up, and it's just an amazing location, untouched. They used to have the breed horses there. There's Indian tree. We know how the Indians used to bend the tree branches to point directions, so they knew where they were going. They have one on their property and the branch sticks straight out and points northeast. So there's a lot of ties to that there as well, and it's an amazing. You can sleep there. It's like a 5-star hotel, and she cooks amazing, and you can investigate there where you sleep. It's great.
So we'll just go live with Dan for a week and go investigate all these places. It's fine.
I like it.
I'm sure they have plenty of room for us.
Yes. No, seriously, we could definitely do a week, no problem, with a different location every night.
Heck yeah. So Mama Pat had a question a while back that I missed. Sorry, Mama Pat. She was saying, are your neighbors supportive, or do they think it's all not real?
No, the neighbors at first were threatening me with shotguns. You gotta really look at where you are and what you're doing. So the town of Hinsdale is a community of people that are spread out, that probably moved away from the city to get away from that type of thing. And first thing they see is a city boy coming in, buying this house. And the people that were renovating it before me were bringing like Paracons up there, and they had cars down the street. And, that wasn't what my goal was. My goal was to do things slow and steady, do it the right way, and not and be a good neighbor. I wanted to let everybody know I was going to be a good neighbor. And we've been able to, I have neighbors that I can call right now and be like, the camera just went off. I think there's kids on the property, and they'll run down there and check it out for me, that live down the street. So I have a neighbor that will let people into the house. I have a neighbor up on the top of the other part of the hill that will be there for me in a heartbeat. So it's been a long time. I've gotten involved with like local, they have the Hinsdale Garlic Festival No, Horseradish Festival. I'm sorry, the Horseradish Festival every year. And I set up a table, and I meet the community, and I get to talk to people that knew people that lived in that house and that have actually been in the house, and I show them how excited I am to bring it back to life, and how excited I am for the community to be able to get people coming to to see Hinsdale and see Olean, who wouldn't have normally been able to come there. It's a tourist thing. It really is.
Yeah, and that having your neighbors on board with that is such a huge help then, because it is a tourist place. It is a location that people are being able to find online now. And, I'm sure there's people who think, oh, I'll just go out there and who's going to catch me? Well, guess what? You're going to get caught, guys, between the security cameras and the neighbors. And I mean, there's not much back there on the road that you have to go on to get there.
Yeah, I noticed that's a weird thing here in like the Midwest, and I don't know if we just come from hooligans or my perspective doesn't reach out a whole lot farther than that. But a lot of people go into like haunted locations and finding some way to fuck with it, like in the terms of vandalism and screwing with it. Have you ever had like an extensive issue with that out at Hinsdale?
When I first got the location, it was a problem. People were breaking. I'd fix something, they'd bust the door down and go back in. So there was no way of locking it, And I had to actually put jail doors on the doors to get in, and bars on the windows. And it takes time, because it was an abandoned location for so long, and it was a location that kids knew they could go to, and it would be open, and they could just go in and do whatever they wanted, and it had that kind of vibe to it. So it had to be changed. That vibe had to be changed. I just did a tour 2 weeks ago, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I used to come. I came here when I was a kid. We would have a fire in the backyard and smoke pot and blah blah blah." And he's like, "And now I'm here doing the ghost tour. All these years later, and I'm more creeped out than I was back then."
Right.
So I mean, it's I hear the stories, but we just had to change that vibe and let people know that we were restoring it. We do have security cameras now, and it spreads. When it goes on the news. When the local colleges talk about it, when the radio stations talk about it locally, they let the kids know that this is a project of love now, and it's not a project that you can just go in and destroy. And knock on wood, we haven't had any issues probably for 4 years of vandalism.
I think that's what you're helping with, though, Dan, is you're helping bring back the respect to that location, So it's making people view it as a location that needs to be respected versus this old abandoned scary house that they can go party at.
Yeah, I mean, if you drove by it now, you wouldn't think it was so scary, because of the paint on it and the driveway and the new porch and all the things that we've done to improve it.
You have done so much to that house. You have done so much to that house since you bought it.
Yeah, I have. But it needed to be done, and there's still more that needs to be done. So.
Oh, definitely. And not that we're not ending the show, Shay. But on that note, there is the Hinsdale House Restoration Project that is always out there and going. At the end of the show, we'll have Dan share all of his social media information. Be sure to share where they can make donations to help preserve the Hinsdale House when you're giving out your information. Because, it's definitely, it's a labor of love. And as much as he talks about how much he loves it and all the good that it's doing, I've been friends with Dan for years, and I've watched the love and the sweat and the tears that have gone into him bringing this house back to life and helping preserve it. So any support that you guys can give him is always greatly appreciated. So anywho, there's my shameless plug for the day.
It's so much nicer when it comes from somebody else. So
yeah. So we've talked a lot about the Hinsdale house and kind of what's going on in your neck of the woods, but, we started the show out talking, you've got so many other projects that you're working on. I know one of the other big things that you're involved with, too, is you are part of Ghost Finders. So do you want to talk a little bit about Ghost Finders and what that all involves?
Yeah, it was, I had an opportunity, Rob Thompson, who is the creator of the Ghost Finders from England, had contacted me to film his show at Hinsdale, and they asked me to come down and do an interview. And the first thing that stood out to me about Rob and his crew were how professional, Now, I had been involved with a couple projects as far as like TV goes, and just to see how the whole process went. So being able to see how a team that's independent, they've been streaming and doing their show for so many years, how professional they were, really just put them above the pack for me, kind of in a way. And so, I started talking to Rob. I'm like, man, they should check out Wildwood. Man, they should check out the Virgin House. And I started giving them the locations locally that I could help get them into to get their perspective on the locations. I thought it was unique that they had a pagan witch on their team, Megan, who's wonderful. She brings a different element to paranormal investigating. And I really loved that because it's not the same old. It's not the, two guys, two girls in the dark running around in the building. It's it just brings a different element to it. And I think it's cool because it's not something that you're used to seeing. As a person that's viewing this, you're seeing a pagan ritual on the property. So I don't know. It was different, and they invited me on a couple more, and then Brad, who was part of the team, was stepping back because of some other opportunities that came his way locally where he lived, and then Rob had asked me if I wanted to join the team for the next season. So I thought about it because it was like, I'm on a team in Buffalo, and then I'm like, I kind of do my own thing. I'm like, on the Hinsdale house, I got a lot of things going on, and I explained that all to Rob. I'm like, this Hinsdale house is my baby, and and I'm trying to get that done, and I have a lot of other things that are going on, and if this can fit into my schedule without any heartache, I'd be more than happy to come and film with you guys. I think it would be fun, and I got along with him and Megan really well, and then they just added my friend Melody to the cast too for this year, and I've known her since 2016. So we all got along very well. We get along on camera really well. We play off each other really well, and I think we get really good evidence. And it's we've filmed 3 episodes so far. One's called Winchester. We also have one that we filmed in Laguna Beach that's not out yet. We have like 3 or 4 more episodes that are ready to drop, but we haven't dropped them yet because we're it's just hard with everything that's going on with COVID and getting all the stuff done that you want to get done,
right?
Time wise and money wise. But it's been a fun ride with them, and I enjoy it. And if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. So
I have to ask, Winchester House, what's it like?
I want to go back, and to be a group and be able to have exclusive access to the location, it just be able to walk those halls and get lost in the place and turn down a hall and not have a way to get out of that area, and you have to turn around, and it's a big maze. It's amazing. The stuff that's in there is amazing. The property and the compound is amazing, and I was there for 2 days, and I feel like it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. And I want to go back so bad, but I want to go to a lot of places too. But that I'm glad I had the opportunity to go. I feel like the evidence that we collected there, the data that we collected there when we were investigating was really cool. We did some cool experiments there, and it's all documented on the show that we did. That's available on VidiSpace. Did you see it yet?
I have not seen that one yet, but I want to. It's definitely one of the places I want to get to.
Now, Nick Groff edited the show for us, and he also came down and helped film the show and direct the show.
See, and that's where I couldn't remember if it was Nick that you had gone out there with, or if it was Ghost Finders, and that's probably where the confusion came from.
Yeah, no, it was both. I mean, part of me is I wanted to push Rob and the Ghost, the whole group. I wanted to push us farther as far as, okay, this is what you've done for the past 8 seasons. Let's step it up. Let's go home or go broke. Go broke or go home. I go, why don't we up the production levels on this? Why don't we film differently than everybody else films? Why don't we try different things and try to push ourselves to a different level? And I think the concoction that we came up with, we used no IR cameras. We filmed it cinematically with like red cinema cameras, and we filmed all different lighting techniques. And I think it really came out nice because of the way the light comes through on these cameras. it's kind of mystical in a way, And we were using different lighting structures. We're using different booms and a lot of different things when we were filming, just to make it more interesting shots, as opposed to what you're typically used to seeing on a show with handheld cameras. And I don't know. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the episode, and it's a really cool special that we did.
And that's so weird because I don't remember what were we watching this afternoon. We were watching Destination Fear this afternoon, and I was just having a thought, like, what if we were to shoot something like this? Like, what if you were to shoot something like that cinematically? So I'm very excited to see this now, just because, I'm very pro things that are, not necessarily status quo. So, very excited about this now. I know what we're doing after the show.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Yeah, so let me know what you think, too. I really... trust your guys' opinion. So I'd love to hear what you think.
Well, I may be a little biased when it comes to you, Dan. I kind of like you, so I'll try to not like it. But
you're also a straight shooter.
Oh,
and you'd tell me if you didn't. So
I would. So a couple questions from chat for you. Mama Deb wants to know: have you ever been to the Morris House Mansion?
I have not. Where is that one located?
I'm not sure. Mama Deb, do you want to let us know where that one's at?
What's the name?
Morris House Mansion.
Norris?
Morris.
Oh, Morris. Okay. That's the one, Norris.
Lead singer of the Doors.
And
Morris.
then
the oldest house in Manhattan.
Oh no, we were close to going there actually. And they were going through some structural things where it was shut down, and we had to we weren't able to go there, but it was on the list.
Part of me would be very curious to shoot in a place as densely populated as Manhattan. All the extra...
The way that it's set up, though, it's like a church in between a bunch of old buildings, and it's got grass, and so it's different.
Oh, okay.
In a way, it's kind of like, have you ever been to Philadelphia with the old buildings in between the big ones?
I have not, actually, no.
Oh.
I've been through Pennsylvania plenty of times. I don't think I've ever actually been to Philly now, so...
No. I've been to Scranton and...
Well, I mean, it's just like...
Carbondale or something like that.
It's got so much history there. Presidents have been there. I mean, it's an amazing... I'm so glad that it's preserved. I'm so glad that they're... because normally that would have just been torn down and a new built skyscraper would have been put on top of it. But
absolutely.
It's and that's happened so many times. Like there's buildings built on top of buildings. There's buildings built on top of graveyards. I mean, it's crazy with how many people are there that they had to do stuff like that. But this building has stayed the test of time, and it's someplace that I would like to go. But it's. We were going to have that opportunity, and it got canceled on us because they were having some leaking issues, and and it was shut down. Unfortunately,
Sure.
Nobody could go there.
Yeah,
but hopefully soon.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Wildwood, is that right in Buffalo?
No, Wildwood is in Salamanca, New York. It's right on an Indian reservation, actually. So it's about an hour west of Hinsdale.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Somebody had asked.
Each one is about an hour. Like Salamanca is about an hour and 15 minutes away from Buffalo. Hinsdale is about an hour and a half away from Buffalo, but both in different directions. Like it's like a triangle type thing. And then they're about an hour away from each other.
Yeah. So I know that you have been on a million different shows and have your own shows and all of this. What all shows have you been on, and where can everybody find them?
Most of the shows that I've been on will air on Travel Channel. Some of the stuff, like Paranormal Lockdown episodes, I think you can watch on Amazon Prime. You just have to kind of like search for them. But the Travel Channel shows were My Paranormal Nightmare, Paranormal Night Shift, America's Most Terrifying Locations were the ones that I were on Travel Channel. And then, of course, Paranormal Lockdown, I was on Hinsdale House episode and Statler Tower episode, which were on TLC and Destination America.
And then Ghost Finders and Within These Walls are both on Vidi.
Yep, and Amazon Prime.
Okay. Trying to think where else I've seen you. I think we're down to some.
Behind the Shadows is the newest one. It's also when I first started off with my team, that's what we documented for 4 seasons, and we put out like our own version of our own show on YouTube called Behind the Shadows. So those first 4 seasons are on my YouTube channel, and then the reincarnation of it, we called it Behind the Shadows Decades. And what I really wanted to focus on is bringing back some of the old team members from my team, and then starting off with a new team and investigating alternative theories at different locations. Not going, maybe going into an epic location, but not going by the main story. Maybe looking at other stories, because that's kind of how I feel about Hinsdale House. It's like you can't go in and just have just one theory. You have to go in and look at all different aspects of the location and see what's making it tick and maybe what's making the haunting happen. And if you don't do that, then you can't be just so one-leveled on everything. So.
Oh, yeah, I would totally agree with that. Any haunted location you go into, it's always like, I haven't gone into one where there's not layers to it, or there's not nuance.
Yeah.
Like the cat just killed something.
It's just a piece of paper.
You can't see them, but you can say hi.
Hi.
It's Shaylee.
Hey.
We can turn the camera back on a sec if she wants. I just turned it off because one of us was getting choppy. Hi, Shaylee. Hi.
Yeah, we're still on the radio show.
I'd had a thought, and now I don't remember the thought. So you've been into so many different locations to be able to investigate. What would you say is your favorite location? Let's take Hinsdale.
I feel like I was about to say, if the answer's not Hinsdale, there's going to be a level of disappointment.
Yeah, I always try to take Hinsdale House off the map, because that would be biased. I also try to take out.
While he's thinking of his answer, I'll chime in and say, guys, Hinsdale is a must-do. It's such a cool place, and kind of like you were saying, go into a place without expectations. Hinsdale is one of those places. Don't go in expecting to experience any certain thing. Don't go in expecting to interact with this energy or that energy, because you don't know what you're going to get. Go in completely open to experience any of the levels, and let them decide what's going to talk to you that night, because there's so much. There's just so much going on out there. Right.
I can tell you, like, one of my favorite locations was Renwick.
Yeah.
Mansion. Now that to have, I told you what happened when I woke up, how I got woken up in that place, right?
Mm-hmm. But you can share with the crowd.
So I was in my suite, and
yes, he has his own suite named after him now, not officially, but unofficially.
Wait, was that the one that we dubbed the Traveler's Moon Suite when we showed
Yeah, it's now the Traveler's Moon Suite, because you haven't stayed.
There's going to be a never-ending pissing match for the name of that suite. I like it.
But after he'd been out to Renwick a couple times and he always stayed in that room, it became the Dan Klaes Suite. And
people would send me pictures of themselves in my room. I'm like, oh Lord, it's funny. But I had got woken up to the shutters slamming open, like I felt like there was a maid that maybe came into my room and just said, okay, time to get up, and it was like the alarm didn't go off or anything, and it was like just enough time for me to get ready and get to the event. And it was pretty interesting. I love that location. I love how beautiful it is. I love I met Madison there. That was the first time I ever met Madison. So it's kind of a cool place that hits home for me as far as collecting evidence.
Yeah, it truly is such a beautiful location, and I found it, and I knew I wanted in there because I've been drawn to that place since I found it, and sitting down and talking to the owners the first time, going, "Hi, I'm a ghost hunter," as they're trying to market it as a wedding venue, and I'm like, "We're just going to come in and prove that this is haunted as shit. You're okay with that, right?" But they were really open to it, and we've been back there quite a few times.
Why not though?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's kind of gives them, they know they're out there by themselves all the time, so they hear the things that are going on out there too, but, oh God, just gorgeous building. We should do something there again.
When you get the opportunity, when you're traveling and you get you can stay at the Marriott as much as you want, but when you get the opportunity to sleep at a location like that, it's amazing. You know, like just to have that opportunity, it was fun.
It was good.
Me and Chris Sutton had the whole place to ourselves the whole night.
I thought I'd seen one more question and I was looking for it.
And this is going to be me scrolling for a hot second. So, on the mean of questions, Darren, thank you. He sent me, no exaggeration, a list of 100 questions.
Darren Buff?
Yeah, just crushing it. And I don't know if that'll be, I don't think we got time for that to be a tonight thing. I think that should be a whole episode. It's just trying to knock out every single one of those questions rapid fire.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Darren was good when I was on his show, and he had this list of, again, he's always very thorough with his questioning. I think we got through like a third of maybe his questions that night, just because you go off on tangents, you know. It's and you get really deep into a conversation, and it's hard to get them all asked. That's why you have people come back and keep.
Definitely. Well, and it was funny because we were sitting talking about who we were going to have on this show for guests, and I'm like, well, so I kind of have this tradition going that Dan's my first guest, and he was my first guest of season 2 on my old podcast, and I'm like, so are you good with this?
Yeah, might as well, I guess.
I don't want to break the tradition. Plus, you know, I miss you.
Plus, you know, we're all like not doing anything, so it's not like.
Yeah.
Wait, what is that? Does that feel like number 2 bitching about 2020? I'm sure the third one was in there somewhere and I missed it. But I'm not.
I don't know. I think there might only be 2. But we still have a couple minutes.
We really do.
I'm sure we can nail it before the end of the show.
Oh, I can make it happen right now. I just want it to come across in conversation organically.
Organically.
Yeah. No, on that note, though, Dan, we do need to figure out, I got to shoot you dates for the upcoming expos and see if you think you're going to venture out this direction for any of them coming up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for this damn COVID.
That feels like 3. It did feel organic, but it feels like 3.
I missed your shows the most, Kelly. And hanging out with you, and it's always coming. It's always like going to family when I'm at your shows and stuff. So good times. I missed them.
Well, I know we're honored you come out and visit us. It's not a short trip for you, and we appreciate it. And
I mean, we've been through some doozies, huh? Like flying into Wisconsin and flip-flops in the middle of the winter.
Gosh. Yeah, I mean, absolutely no clothes and flip-flops in the snow, but dang it, we made it work. So.
And I got there with half of my merch for half the day.
Yep. Yeah, Mama Pat, we miss seeing Dan at the expos and everybody else. It's Mama Pat and I have talked to every single one to say, do we hold this? Do we cancel it? And
so hard.
Every time we finally pull the plug and say we just can't do this, it's a little piece of us dies. So, but we got to keep our peeps safe. And but we're hoping to host the first one in Cedar Falls. We found a new location for the Waterloo Cedar Falls show, and that would be the last weekend in March. So we're hoping. Fingers crossed. Vaccine is starting, so hopefully that'll help.
My sister got hers today. She's a nurse.
Yep. We were just at the doctor yesterday with Maddie for a well check, and the doctor was telling us she was getting hers today too. So
I've got a few members at the gym I work at who are.
Yep, they're starting in the medical field. It sounds like for the most part, which makes perfect sense. So what else you got coming up here, Dan? We are at 9, and I know you're an hour later than us, so I don't want to keep you super, super late. But what do you got coming up here in the future?
I mean, we have things booked. You know, I'm looking forward to hopefully coming to Iowa to some of your events. I mean, on the books right now, I have the Michigan Paracon. I know that you're going to go to that. I have Mid-Michigan Paracon. I have New Jersey Para-Unity Expo. I actually got invited in September to go to Festival of the Unknown in England and talk, which I'm ecstatic for. I've never been there. And
I saw that. Is that did you say New England or England? You're going overseas at some point, aren't you?
Across the pond.
England.
Yeah, you know, I don't like you anymore.
Why?
You people who get to
To be
travel
fair,
to
we're
cool
playing
places,
with the idea of going this year too.
but I haven't been yet.
But
so
we'll
all
get
of you
you
who
there.
get there before me, I'm going to dislike you until I get there.
You know, if it wasn't for this damn COVID,
Now we're going to
You
have
see,
to
I traveled across
how
seas
many times.
pre-COVID, and that's how you do that. Is
Yeah,
you have to do it
maybe.
before the COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to go to the Alaska Triangle with my wife, and we that got canceled because of the stupid COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a lot
And
of
now we're
plans
already-
here. COVID. We're
Now
supposed to
we're
go
at
to
like,
Hinsdale.
we went from 2 to 10 complaints in 5 minutes. See?
Yeah.
I like
Now
it.
it's how many times can we get it in before the show starts?
This is
Before the
true.
show ends. But yeah, we had our trip out to Hinsdale, which was canceled, and
Because of
Yeah,
COVID.
COVID.
Gettysburg, which was canceled,
And
and
because of
Salem,
COVID.
which was canceled, and Michigan,
Because of COVID. And because
and
of COVID.
Colorado. That wasn't.
That was
necessarily-
because the state was on fire.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily COVID.
That was 2020 as a
That's
whole.
right.
We'll blame it on COVID anyway. I mean, everything gets blamed on
COVID started that damn fire. I'm
That's
convinced.
right. COVID started the fire.
That was good.
So yeah, I will be up in Michigan with you, is the plan at least. I won't be out at New Jersey this year. That's Madeline's prom, and it's her senior prom.
You saw they moved it though, right? From May to September.
Oh, they did.
Is that because of COVID?
It's
Yes.
because of COVID. Damn
Yes,
COVID.
it was because of COVID. There was something else going on that weekend they moved it to, though.
Oh,
But I can't remember what.
the other good one, Little Traverse Bay Parafest. Hopefully, I'll get to go to that one. I was invited to that. I'm going to be doing this thing in Wisconsin, which is a fundraiser for, I believe, elephants.
Oh, that's cool.
Really?
Yeah, paranormal event that's taking the donations to give to elephants. I'm like, I'm good with that.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
do that.
definitely.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
And yeah, Mama Pat says, you're kind of a big deal.
yeah, okay.
That's because she knows who you are. Do you know who
that's-
I am? That is
fun.
where that statement comes from. It's all Dan's fault. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Will you be at Gettysburg in 2021?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do Gettysburg. It's always a good time. I did Gettysburg this year, despite the damn COVID.
Yeah,
And,
we went
on
back
Oscar.
and forth.
No,
I know,
a few
right?
people went down, and then it was just me and Sean, and then Jack Kenna was down there, and we had breakfast together, and then we took our precautions, and I investigated with Sean. I just had fun. It was like
Yeah.
I needed it. I needed to just get away and investigate and do what we do without.
I know it was the days leading up to that one, and I was debating whether or not I can go, and I probably was driving you and Dustin crazy because I'm like, are you guys going? What do you think? Should we go? Should we not go?
Dustin's like, I'm not going. I'm like, I am going. You're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, which I'm like, thanks, guys. You are no help to me whatsoever. But yeah, but then they put in more travel restrictions for people from Iowa, so because we are Plague Central. So,
Yeah.
where in Wisconsin is that event? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head. It'll be posted on my website, so just stay tuned to that. It's called Potographs. That's the name
Oh,
of it.
okay.
Tim Maley's put it together.
Isn't it in a town that starts with an A?
Maybe.
Applington.
No, it's like, is there an Antioch or something like that?
Antique?
Oh, that might be it. That sounds
Okay.
like familiar. That sounds familiar. Yeah.
I've heard of this show before. I just can't think. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah. So they came to Hinsdale and did a fundraiser and raised over $2,000 for a pet shelter, which is amazing.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean that's what he does, and he donates all the proceeds to. Usually it's pet shelters, but this time he's changing to elephants. So I'm like, yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like maybe I
elephants
can
need love too.
ride the elephant. And he goes, no, Dan, you cannot ride the elephant. I'm like, damn it.
Do you want Chris's little known fact about elephants?
What's that?
How they feel?
Okay, so I saw this on Facebook, and I don't know if it's true, but I'd like to believe it is because it makes my heart happy. So apparently, when elephants see people, there is a similar chemical reaction in the brain as to when we see something like a puppy or a kitten. They think we're cute, and I love that. I don't know if it's true because I saw it on Facebook, but
It must be true.
I'm going to go with it is
people.
because I love that.
Aren't they cute?
That's funny.
Yeah, so I guess I'm trying to watch for Shay. She was going to step away from the computer for just a second, but Ringling Brothers, they're talking about places to go in,
we're
in
brainstorming
Wisconsin right now.
Venue sites for Wisconsin.
Yeah, we need to set up some events, Dan. We got to get you back out here, if not for expos, to do some investigating.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's get them set up and make
I'll
some
have to put
plans.
my organizer brain on and figure out where I want to take you.
Yes.
We'll make it happen.
Do another Renwick event. It'll be great.
Yeah.
That would be sweet.
Finding a weekend that's open there is going to be an issue.
The same weekend as your Davenport event.
Yeah, I've already checked if we could stay there. They're full that weekend. They've got a wedding. So I don't get me wrong. I'm very, very happy for them. But their wedding business has taken off. And why wouldn't it? It's a gorgeous location. But it makes it very difficult for us to find a weekend we can get in there. So dang them anyways. But
I mean, it's had to been especially hard with this damn COVID.
Yeah, and honestly, so one of the weekends that we were housebound and getting a little stir crazy, we were trying to think of a place to go, and I don't even remember why it came up, but we're like, I wonder how Sarah and Dane are doing, because they've had to have canceled a ton of weddings, and we're like, oh, they've canceled a ton of weddings. So yeah, we reached out to them and we went and we actually spent 2 nights there. We had Mama, Pat, and Maddie went out with us one night, and then the next night we filmed a documentary
God, that's become the longest editing process in history.
Oh no, it's not the longest. I know of longer, but it's getting up there. We got to get that done. Yeah, we got to get it. We keep talking about it. We're building suspense.
Well, eventually suspense goes out and people just stop caring.
Yeah, something like
I'm
that.
becoming one of those people. Holy crap.
No, I'd love to get back into Renwick if I can find a weekend that they're open, but my brain's already turning. I'll figure out. There's a couple places I would like to get you into, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to research where this elephant event is at, and so far I've gotten that it's at an asylum that we're going to be staying at, which sounds cool. I know Melody from the Ghost Finders is going to be there with me, which is cool.
I know of a haunted asylum in Darren, if you're listening, a haunted asylum in Wisconsin. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, okay. So it's at the Broken. So it's in Oklahoma. I'm sorry. So it's at the Broken Bow Asylum. That's where we're staying.
That'd be fun.
And that's cool. And then we're visiting the elephant rescue during the day that we're donating the funds to from Paracon. That we're doing.
Well, you led us completely astray, but we haven't been to Oklahoma for a while. So.
Yeah. But that's cool. Like the Broken Bow Asylum, man. That was on what you call it, Destination Fear.
I don't think we just kind of started watching that when we put it on in the background while we were doing some stuff around the house.
Really loves that show now.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff we got to get caught up on, and I've been waiting the Winchester one I want to watch, and I've been waiting because I want to actually sit down and be focused on it when I watch it, because I don't know.
The problem is she has a focus issue.
I have a focus issue. Sitting still is an issue. So.
Well, this one should hopefully keep you going.
Well, and it's not that it wouldn't keep my interest. I'd be worried that I'd miss something because I'm always doing more than one thing, but. Anywho, what other questions do you have for Mr. Dan?
Well, like I said, I've got a list of 100, but I feel like we can tackle those another time.
You mean we have to bring him back on again?
Son of a bitch.
I don't know if I can handle that.
It happens.
It does. Well, Mr. Dan, where can everybody find you? Where can they follow you? And don't forget, how can they help support their Hinsdale restoration?
I make it really easily because I got like this funnel thing going on my website. So if you just go to danielklaes.com, all the links, you just click on those 3 little bars, and then all the links will come up. There's a Patreon site that you can actually donate to the house if you want to become a member of the location. My new merchandise site that I just launched today is up and running. It looks really nice, really good. Lots of new merch in there, and it's a lot cheaper than what Zazzle was. Like you can actually get shirts for under $20 now.
Oh wow!
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's.
Ooh, I may have to go check out sweatshirts again.
We have found some printing partners that will print on demand for us. So as you order, they get printed off and mailed out for us. So it's a good program that we got set up, and the sweatshirts are like $30. Like we're not trying to kill. Like it was like $60 for a sweatshirt on Zazzle. So I'm really happy with the new site that we have set up and the new partners that we have, and you get an array of different colors. We can go up to size 5XL, and it's great.
And definitely go check this stuff out, guys, because Dan likes to switch around his designs on his clothes just to keep them fresh and new and spunky. So if you see one you like, don't wait too long to get it because it may not be there when you go back.
I retire them often, and I'm often looking for new designers to make new clothing. So I have some tattoo artists making some new pictures for shirts right now, and those will come in, and then 2 will leave when I drop those. So I try to keep stuff fresh,
Definitely.
Keep it fresh, baby.
All right. So DanielKlaes.com. Definitely keep an eye out for shows. Go check them out if you haven't seen them yet. They're on Vidispace, Vidi.space, and they're on Amazon Prime. He's always letting you know where he's going to be and what's going on Facebook and everything. Yeah. Wrapping up shows is always weird.
So yeah, that's the show. Thank you, Dan, for joining us. It's not hard if you're just assertive about it. Dan, we really appreciate your time tonight.
I'm so glad that I got to be on the show and bust the cherry once again. I know it's not I'm your first official guest, right?
Yes.
Not the first. Look at her. Is it because I said bust the cherry? Is that why you're giving me the? Okay. It doesn't say explicit. If you go on to Spreaker,
oh, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It says explicit show, so we're good.
You're good. You're fine.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. I'm glad to be a part of it. Always.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, definitely not. If I was going to have my cherry pop by anybody, I'm glad it's you, Dan.
Yeah, and likewise.
Does it
Kelly,
make it awkward that he's popped my cherry multiple times then?
I didn't think that was possible.
I mean, just this is getting
and on
awkward.
that note, thank you everybody tonight for tuning in.
I think I'm going to go have some cherry pie and
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't be a show with Dan Klaes if it didn't end dirty, so we're good.
Well, once again, I would like to congratulate ourselves that we have had a very, for us, structured.
It's been relatively mature.
It has.
Uncharacteristic. Next week's going to be a shit show. What are we doing next week?
Oh, so yeah. So next week, guys. So one of the things that we're trying to do with this show is not only have on awesome guests like Dan, but we're trying to tackle just some of the topics that maybe are you leaving us or are you?
No, she was just giving us the peace sign. I was just.
Gotcha.
She's really trying to say 2 minutes, but we're just all saying it's peace.
I was getting confused. Oh, you're talking about Shay.
Yeah, Shay's.
I don't have that. Oh, she's trying to remind me.
Oh, that's 2 weeks from.
Yeah, I thought she was saying peace.
Oh no, it's not. It's not next week. It's the week next show.
I was totally confused because I have it on the Spreaker screen, so I can see the chat, and I can only just see Dan up here in the little corner.
Too much.
So I couldn't see her at all. But maybe she just wanted to be involved, So 2 weeks from tonight, our next show.
It'll be December 30th, the second to last day of this fucking year.
We're going to tackle some of the topics that some people will discuss, but usually when they discuss them, they have one view one way or the other. And we're just going to try to talk about them and have it be an open forum. So our next show is going to be about Ouija boards. They're going to be...
Also known as Satan sticks.
The good, bad. They're also known as a piece of plywood. See.
I mean, you might as well throw abortion in there too. I mean,
oh God,
Oh,
that'll come right after the politics show. Jesus.
yeah, I mean, to make the whole show about politics, abortion, and Ouija board. I mean, that could be
all things of evil. Oh,
Trump and Biden. I mean, go.
oh my
go
God,
that
Steve's
route.
crawling right now.
yeah. No. We're gonna keep it tame to topics like Ouija boards.
Until season 2, when we know we have a decent number of people listening.
Is that sad when you say keeping it tame with Ouija boards?
Right, exactly. Thank you for catching that. But yeah, we're just gonna, we've been doing a little bit
Take
of
a deep
research
dive
on
into
them
it.
because I had never done it before, and
We'll be hitting it from a couple different perspectives. I've actually never used a Ouija board as of this episode. I think she's going to try to fix that between then and now, but God damn it, I'm a good Christian boy.
yeah. I need my boots because the shit is getting deep in here.
You should have Tim Shaw on. Have you ever had him on your show?
I have had Tim on the show before, and I'm sure we'll have him back on at some point too. He is a fun guest as well.
He's the one that the first time I ever used one, he was watching over me.
Yeah, Tim's a great guy. You'd like Tim too. He's fun. But yeah, so definitely next show, 2 weeks on the 30th, is going to be more of an interactive show. We definitely want to hear other people's input. Hear your thoughts and theories on them as well. What? Just don't use it during sex. Okay.
What, the Ouija?
Can we bar people from the comment section? Holy shit.
Did you hear me stop dead in my tracks with reading that question? I'm like,
that could be interesting. That could be an interesting experiment, though. Like if you have your hand on a planchette and he has his hand on a planchette, and you guys have the Ouija. Oh, that's just that. Never mind. Wait,
just on the bed of the planchette, sliding around, and you summon a demon. Oh, have you ever seen? I love that meme where it's got the picture of the Ouija board on the floor and the Roomba. It's like it's all fun and games till it summons a demon. I love that thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that is funny.
Anywho.
So yeah, that's what to be expecting. Not next week, but the next show of the.
A little taste of it right here.
Exactly, and it's only going to be downhill from there. So it's going to be a fantastic show, everybody.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So, yeah, we don't have a full list of guests and everything, but we do have some fun stuff coming up. We've got a bunch of different topics that we want to cover. We have a few guests lined up, but we'll keep you waiting and guessing on those until we get closer.
Cool.
Anywho, any last information you want to share with us, Daniel?
No, I've given all that I can give.
So far. He has no more to give.
I have no more to give. I mean, Yeah, no, that's it. We're good.
All right. Well, we need to get together at some time because we want to set up another time to come out to New York. And
post-COVID.
Yeah, well.
Fucking COVID.
I'm scheduling it anyways, God damn it. And like I said, we'll just army crawl into the state if they try to stop us. We'll say that we're trying to get to Dan and the wifey so you guys can adopt us.
Yeah. You could.
That's it. We're adopted. We're New Yorkians now.
New Yorkers?
New Yorkians.
You said New Yorkian like a Midwestern.
New Yorkians.
New Yorkian.
New Yorkians. I like it better than New Yorkers. Does that not sound more fun? New Yorkians? Come on. Anyways.
Yeah,
all right.
All right, cool. Yeah, thank you for everybody for tuning in tonight to the Traveler's Moon podcast. As always, you can find us on social media under @Traveler's Moon. If you're on anywhere but Instagram, because somebody stole that, and we're @Traveler's Moon Para.
I really want to go find out who stole that and why they have
just. It's gonna just blow up their inbox,
right? And say, "Are you using this? Huh?
If they got a post like if it's even longer than 2 weeks ago, I'm gonna start hounding them for it. All right, cool. Well. Again, thank you, Dan.
Thank
you for joining us today.
Talk soon, guys.
It was fun. I'll get in touch with you. I'll let you know some dates. We'll set up some dates for Hinsdale, and I miss you.
Miss you guys, too. See you soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Talk to you soon. Have a good night, and have a good night, all you sexy bitches in the comment section.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you. Talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.